I want you to go find the White House science czar saying they want to put stuff in your water to sterilize you and kill you. I mean, you said it in the 70s, they're doing it now. I want you to go find the quotes Ted Turner saying he wants to kill 90% of you. There's a new top NASA scientist out saying we got to reduce population to 500 million. They want us out of the way. They're a bunch of criminals that have taken over, and their camp followers and their minions, who are openly preaching forced population reduction and the shutdown of the economy, and that's why they're building these control grids. It's a ruthless scientific culling. And if you won't wake up to that and wake up to the Rockefellers taking over medicine in the 20s and 30s, it's all on record, nothing will help you. Now, we are now carrying all of the best-selling books by Dr. Joel Wallach, who is a doctor of veterinary medicine, and he also holds several other degrees. But I really respect vets because I've worked for a large animal vet and a small animal vet in high school and then a little bit in college. I've worked on large ranches for Jess Adkins in East Texas at an industrial level, and I know they have to know what really is causing the problem. They're there to get the animals well and sold or taken care of. They're not there to suck more money out of you because farmers aren't going to put up with it and Big Agri isn't. And they always knew it was vitamins and minerals. I know he's been talking about this for 30-plus years and did big national studies for the federal government, $25 million in research. But I wanted to get him on when I saw this and other studies, because I know he's talked about this forever. Saccharin and aspartame compared with sucralose induced greater weight gain in adult Worcester rats. This is the National Health Institute's National Institute of Health, big university study put out here. Doc, I mean, you've talked about that. Dr. Blaylock, MD, brain surgeons talked. They know all this. They know what aspartame does. They know what MSG does. They know what vaccines do. They know why is cancer rates exploding, sir? What is going on here? What is your take on the points I make? Because we're going to talk about Let's Play Doctor, your book, with Dr. Wallach and also a MD that you wrote it with, Let's Play Doctor. You've got Immortality, a book breaking that down. Hell's Kitchen, Obesity, Diabetes, and Metabolic Syndrome, excellent book. Dead Doctors Don't Lie, of course, your international bestseller. All those are available, by the way, at InfoWarsStore.com. A bunch of your books there that ties all in with InfoWarsTeam.com or InfoWarsHealth.com. And it's just the off-the-chart products that you've developed. I was just talking to one of the female crew members here. She said she's lost 15 pounds on this in just a month, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Pollen Burst Plus, the essential fatty acid proprietary blend. But I'm not going to get into a pitch for that. I'm already ranting because I'd love to sell what works and what I believe in. Dr. Wallach, this is a short segment here, but long segment coming up. What is going on? How many studies do we have to have on what aspartame does to the body? Why is it so bad? Why is it linked to macular degeneration in the eyes, pancreatic cancer? Why is it so addictive, Dr. Wallach?
Well, there's a basic reason why it's addictive. Human beings have a craving for things when they're minerally deficient, and they get stuck on sugar. And so even if you don't have sugar, you have something sweet like aspartame, it has two things. Number one, the chemical itself has been shown to cause tumors. Okay, we know that. But also, because it's sweet, it's very seductive. When a person is minerally deficient, you have these cravings. I have to have a candy bar. I have to have a Diet Coke. I have to have a Diet Pepsi. And I run into people all the time, Alex, that are addicted to 6 liters of Diet Pepsi or Diet Coca-Cola or Diet Dr. Pepper every day. Now, there's no sugar in it, but they will gain an enormous amount of weight because there's a basic fallacy that when you're drinking Diet Coke, you're going to eat. You're not going to eat fat.
Well, I'm not trying to be mean, but when you go to the mall and see a 500-pound person, they've always got a diet drink in their hand. And you try to warn them, and they just don't want to listen to you because it's so addictive.
You're exactly right. And, of course, the medical system and the government both, I don't know if they're just ignorant. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they're ignorant, because if they know what they're doing, as you're pointing out, it's definitely criminal, because it's hard to buy anything fat. Everything is fat-free, low-fat, no-fat, and yet we're the #1 obese nation in the world following their system. And so are they that stupid? Maybe. But basically what happens here is when you have a basic mineral deficiency, you crave sweets. People say, man, I'm a sugarholic. Or a Coca-holic, or a Diet Coca-holic, or a chocoholic. And that's because they're minerally deficient, and they get on this aspartame, and it has the negative in that you're always going to be unsatiated. You're always going to be hungry because you think you're doing yourself a service by having this no-calorie drink, which tastes sweet. but then you're still going to eat more when you eat. You're still going to eat more when you eat, and this is why people gain weight when they're drinking all this diet stuff. But it does. There are studies that show that aspartame does cause cancer. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, they knew that. They couldn't get it approved, as you know, Doc, in the 70s 3 times.
Yep.
Stay there. We're going to come back and continue to talk about how they kill us. And again, I've done the research. They're doing it on purpose. It's very funny to them. Now, the average idiot doctor, they don't know. They're all brainwashed. Let's talk about how they brainwash MDs when we come back and get into a bunch of other important points Dr. Wallach wants to cover. Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about 1.5 years ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of Youngevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfoWarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfoWarsTeam.com. And it was always about the minerals. I remember Jess Adkins, the large animal vet I worked for out in East Texas. And boy, that guy worked hard. He worked like 16 hours a day. And he was like 60-something years old when I worked for him. And he worked me into the ground when I was like 17 years old. I worked for him off and on several years. But the point is that he would always be mineral this, mineral that, mineral mix this. So Dr. Wallach, growing up on a farm, being around all this, he became a prestigious worldwide veterinarian working for the federal government doing autopsies, and discovered that so many things that, yes, you have a genetic predisposition, but that triggers when you're not getting trace elements, vitamins, and minerals. So they're selling it's all genetic. Well, what happened to our genetics? Because why are all these diseases? The United States leads the entire world in every horrible disease. Look it up. Don't believe me. Alzheimer's, cancer, diabetes. I mean, you know that. You see it on the news. They're killing us. And whether it's on purpose or by design, I know it's by design. I've read them brag about it. Wallach's being friendly, saying, well, whatever. The point is, let's just cut by that debate. They're doing it. And I'm telling you, number one, get off all this stuff. People that go off aspartame, they say it is like a battle. I had a family member went off of it, and they were in bed for about a week. And they were somebody that didn't use drugs, alcohol, nothing. Well, it's wood alcohol, basically, is what it breaks down into, and formaldehyde. It's highly addictive. It's why your dog, likes poison and stuff, separate poison, and will drink antifreeze. Just because it's sweet doesn't mean it's good. It's cheap. They can use a tiny bit of it. It's 6 times sweeter than sugar by volume. They had a chemical warfare test they were doing with bacteria in the 60s. The Defense Department discovered it. Searle was given the patent on it. Then it was passed to Monsanto. I know the whole history. Look up manufacturing process. And people go, well, beer's made out of bacteria. Yogurt, yeah, good ones. They feed toxic waste to a genetically engineered E. coli. That ain't a good bacteria, folks. And then they crap out aspartame. I hate to go into detail here. And I'm just picking one thing. My point is, we get a document cam shot here for viewers. Radio listeners can just go to InfoWarsHealth.com or InfoWarsTeam.com, and they can see the Pollen Burst Plus, the most wonderful energy drink out there, bar none. That's why my ugly mug is on it right there. You can also see Beyond Tangy Tangerine. You can see Dr. Wallach right here, and I'm going to stop ranting. The EAFA, the best proprietary blend of a full spectrum of essential fatty acids. The Rebound, the Youngevity, OsteoFX. Ted Anderson had 3 different doctors say he would have to have knee surgery. A year on this, no knee problems. And again, it may not work for you folks, but everybody I know, miraculous. Aaron Dykes, 92 pounds. Not even advertised as weight loss. Because you gobble the EFAs, you take the Tangy Tangerine, all that, you're not hungry anymore. It goes on and on and on and on. Hundreds and hundreds of products. The full catalog discounted at InfoWarsHealth.com. When you become a distributor or preferred customer, you can also sign up on auto ship and get free shipping, which we know is substantive. And the profit we make from this as well, it's a win-win-win, funds this media organization. I told Dr. Wallach, I said, I want to get you on about news. I'm not going to try to, rant and rave and pitch this stuff, but then I start talking about it. I'm like, why not? It's the answer. Why not? Why not get healthy? Why not exercise? Why not learn there are good fats you need, and that they know people with epilepsy, they tell them get on the essential fatty acids, and that it can really help with it. Doc, I'm ranting here, InfoWarsHealth.com. Let's run through current medical news, meningitis news, vaccine dangers, GMO news, then I'll give folks a hurricane update. All of this, but we were getting into, what were we covering when we went to break? We were talking about, everybody getting fatter as everything is non-fat, no fat. The trans fats are bad, but that's artificial stuff they make. We need fat, don't we?
Yes, sir. In fact, Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease. It's actually caused by a cholesterol deficiency. Okay, your brain is 75% white matter. It's the myelin of the brain, the insulation material of the brain, makes up 75% of your brain weight, Alex, and it is 100% cholesterol. So you go on a cholesterol-restricted diet, and then you take cholesterol-lowering drugs, and you get Alzheimer's disease.
Why do I get high off a good piece of fish or a good, clean, range-fed organic beef? I mean, it's a drug for me to eat a big piece of rare steak. I get high off of it.
I had 4 poached eggs and a half-pound breakfast steak this morning, and my supplements. There's nothing wrong with eggs and steak and red meat and so forth. Nobody can find a third-generation flourishing colony of vegans with 300 rosy-cheeked kids running around giggling. They don't exist. And so it all comes down, again, to basically the medical system has overreached when they're talking about everything's caused by genetics. They want you to eat more whole grains. I mean, they could serve up most Americans in Ruth Chris's Steakhouse as prime beef. And that's the gist of the book, Hell's Kitchen. And I have to stop here a minute and just tell everybody what a hero you are for me, because you're one of the few guys out there that tells the truth. And so I'm so proud to be associated with you because of that.
Same here, buddy. Birds of a feather fly together.
Okay. But the book, Hell's Kitchen, covers this obesity and type 2 diabetes thing. Both of these are physician-caused diseases, and I can make people an ex-diabetic, not manage their disease, but make them an ex-diabetic in 2 to 14 days. I actually had a challenge from a guy who owns one of the largest medical laboratories in America, and he actually had terrible diabetes, getting worse and worse and worse, had to use insulin. I mean, this guy was out of control, had access to the best endocrinologist. He services 7,000 households a day and hundreds of thousands of doctors every day. And we met in a little restaurant in a funny little town in Missouri, and we were probably the only population there. And he made a bet with me. He says, Wallach, I'll be your best friend if you can do as everybody says you can't get rid of my diabetes in 90 days. I said, well, we can probably do it faster than that. He said, no, I'll give you 90 days. But if you can't do it in 90 days, I'll be your worst enemy. I said, well, that's fair. I shook his hand. He was kind of shocked. And in 2 months' time, his diabetes went from, his blood sugar went from like 178 with drugs down to 68 without medication, and his A1C hemoglobin, which tracks how well you're maintaining your blood sugar, from 8.3 down to 4.3 in that 2 months' time, and he's diabetes-free now. We get people off the foot and leg amputation list. We get people off the heart transplant list. The quickest I've ever done it is 5 days or on 27 prescription drugs at 3 heart diseases, all by supplementation with nutrients that are required for the heart and the liver and the kidneys to rebuild themselves. You cannot just use drugs to do these things. There's not a single drug, with the exception of antibiotics, Alex, that cure disease. Okay, everything else just manages symptoms. We talk about, let's jump over here to this meningitis thing that's contaminated by aspergillus. That's tiny. 23 people were killed, 300 infected, 800 exposed. That's nothing. Each year in America, according to the Center for Disease Control, Alex, 2 million people are infected in medical hospitals in America alone because medical doctors don't wash their hands after they go potty. 90,000 of these people die every year, Alex. And let me tell you, in 1,000 years, the mafia has never killed that many people in 1,000 years.
And by the way, you know, sir, that's a very conservative number you get. Yep. They're now saying all combined hospitals, drug interactions and things is now the #1 cause of death. It's over 1 million people now a year.
Oh, absolutely right. Well, how many people, Alex, would take public transportation if they knew that public transportation killed 15 million people every year in America? I mean, killed, injured, and infected 15 million people. Nobody would fly, nobody would take buses or trains, yet they continue to go like zombies into the doctor's office. And that's why I love you, because you are putting forth a way that people can care for themselves. It's not only going to be food, it's not only going to be self-protection, but it's also going to be how to care for yourself, because why would you escape death at the hands of an enemy, foreign or domestic, and have a doctor kill you? I mean, this is what happens in the VA hospital. I've always said that you have two opportunities to give your life to your country. One is on the field of battle, and the other is in the VA hospital, because VA doctors, according to their own records, kill 700 veterans each year. They kill them. These are people who have escaped death at the hands of the enemy, and they go to the VA hospital for help, and the VA hospital kills 700 a year. And so we have to take care of ourselves, and keeping our weight down, staying away from these artificial sweeteners, sugar substitutes is imperative. You're right on track, and the only way to do this is to learn how to take care of ourselves. If you do it, if you give your body the raw materials, the basic 90, 60 minerals, 2/3 of the 90 essential nutrients are minerals, and you cannot tell by looking at a tomato if it has 3 minerals or 12 or 25. And in the animal industry, which you keep going to, which I appreciate, you can eliminate 900 different diseases which still plague humans by supplementing them with minerals, including one of my great stories is muscular dystrophy. We eliminated muscular dystrophy since 1957 in the animal industry, and I began doing it in the United States about 5 years ago with human beings, eliminating muscular dystrophy. We sent this information to Jerry Lewis by email and hard copy. He took this information to the medical committee of the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation, and they fired him, and that's why he has not been on the telethon the last 2 years. And they fired every one of his supporters in the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation. I've talked to his personal assistant like 15 times over the last 2 years, and she keeps passing on the message. We didn't want any money from him. We just wanted to let him be the guy to announce that we'd found the cure for muscular dystrophy. And when he brought that to the medical committee, they fired Jerry Lewis and the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation. He
needs to go public. I know he's a nice guy and everything, but he needs to go public with that right now, because
I don't know if they have a gag order on him or what. But,
well, that's the problem. When you go work in something like that, they have you sign contracts. You can really break them if people are engaged in fraud. But, you know, like when I go work on a TV show, it's always, oh, by the way, sign this. You can't talk about whatever happened here. And a lot of times I just don't even, I tell national TV, well, I'm not going anywhere with you, and I'm not going around you, because I'm not going to waive all my rights and stuff. I mean, I had to get a proviso. They wanted me to sneak back into Bohemian Grove. I said, but I couldn't talk about it until well, I could never talk about it. And I said, well, I can't sign this contract. So they had to change it. Then we went out there and they got arrested, and I got away 2 years ago. But the point is, yeah, I went and like jumped in the river and swam away, literally hiding in the bushes from the. But the point is, well, I'm not going to jail just because people are chasing me to the woods. Anyways, I just was going there to cover something, and I hadn't even really got on the property yet when they were already chasing them. But the point is that it's a side issue. But yes, I'm sure that's what's going on. But that's big news that you've talked to his main assistant, and that's what they're saying. Look, here's the deal. What breast cancer is on average 3,000% up. The U.S. leads it. What's going on with breast cancer, and why do we never hear? I got info to Lance Armstrong, I don't know, 5-6 years ago through two different people. One, a big stockbroker that was on a board with him, a big, 100 millionaire type guy that was on in some of his charities. I'll just leave it at that. And he's like, hey, I'm going to get this, this info on 9/11, but also, this info on health and stuff about cancer, being spread through vaccines and other things. I'm going to get it to Lance. So I got some info together for Lance Armstrong, got it through him and then through somebody else. And guess what Lance Armstrong wanted me to get the message about? Dr. Wallach, guess what he said?
What did he say?
He just said, you're a kook, crazy conspiracy theorist.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk to that kook conspiracy theorist, and I don't want that stuff. So, I mean, they just don't want to know. So why won't anybody ask Dr. Wallach, why is it all exploding? Why is it increasing?
Well, there's very simple reasons. First of all, there's one simple mineral called selenium, which is one of the 60 essential minerals we need. There was a wonderful study done by Dr. Gerhard Schrauser, the guy who discovered at the University of Wisconsin in Madison in 1957 that selenium is an essential nutrient. And he found and published in 1982 that you can reduce your risk of breast cancer by more than 80% simply by taking 200 micrograms, 1/5 of a milligram of selenium. Then in 1998, a guy by the name of Larry Clark from the University of Arizona did a big double-blind study, gold standard, 1,300 people, 7 years, found that he could reduce the risk of prostate cancer by 69%, colorectal cancer by 64% by 200 micrograms of selenium. And here it comes. I can show you, and this is a great show to release this on, how to reduce the risk of breast cancer by 462%. This is a big study. It was kind of a relook, a meta-study, if you would, by the University of South Carolina. It came out in 1998. And they looked at the Harvard Nurses Health Study, which is a 20-year study on these 90,000 nurses. And he did something nobody else did. He looked at how they cooked their food. And he found out women who ate their meat cooked very well done, like doctors suggest or demand, so you don't get salmonella and E. coli. If they cook their meat the way the doctors say, over women who cook their meat medium or medium rare, they increase the risk of breast cancer by 462%. That's the number they give.
Well, there's actually a bunch of studies. Yeah, generally, cancer, you shouldn't burn the meat. But you know why the doctors for 20 years have said that, doctor. I know you know why they're now irradiating even good cuts of meat. They want to be able to not have proper protocol at slaughterhouses, so they spray a live virus, a vaccine on it that eats the bacteria. But there's a bunch of other stuff they found that gets, guys, type in viral sprays for meat. It'll be ABC News 5 years ago, but it's now system-wide. That's causing a lot of gut disorders. It's actually a live vaccine. They spray that on the meat, and they want to be able to feed you rotten meat, so they tell you burn it. That's why. And the doctors just repeat whatever the industries pay the AMA to say. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. For those little, which I say, pieces that fill in the cracks, it's very important, and I learned something from you there. And basically, if everybody were to cook their meat medium or medium rare, we would drop breast cancer by 462%. Then you throw in 200 micrograms of selenium. You stay away from salad dressings, which have the trans fatty acids, the oils, and the odds of getting breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer would be zero. Now, diabetes is another subject. It's a deficiency of a single mineral, which what we do is we like to add that secret mineral to the Alex pack, which is the basic 90. There's 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, the Alex pack, and then you throw in what we call sweeties to it. It has we call it the secret sauce.
My kids love those. It's candy, but it's really concentrated minerals and vitamins. They love the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. They drink it at half strength. They love all of it. I love the Rebound instead of drinking coffee in the afternoon. In fact, I'm about to have my Rebound and my Pollen Burst Plus is what sometimes when I work out, I do Rebound, but I mainly do Pollen Burst Plus every day. Sitting there staring at the Rebound, but I'm about to go do a Pollen Burst Plus right now. All of that. It's called the Alex Pack, InfoWarsHealth.com. Try it, folks, and I'll be shocked. Everyone I know that's tried it. In fact, I've got to start getting testimonials of listeners on here. And because it is unbelievable, Dr. Wallach. That's why I hyperventilate when I talk about this. It is unbelievable what these different proprietary mixes you and your other scientists have developed at Youngevity, and it's all at InfoWarsHealth.com, discounted, folks.
Well, one of the things that people always ask me, Alex, he says, they'll say, you're making some pretty bold claims that, you can make somebody an ex-diabetic in 2 to 14 days. You can reverse dementias in as quickly as 2 weeks after they've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease for 8 years. How can you do that? Well, guess what? Some of this information goes back to the year 1712. It was discovered by a Japanese naval surgeon in the year
Stay there. We're gonna do 2 more segments with you, an update on the hurricane. By the way, folks, they know this. They know scurvy. If you don't get vitamin C, your body will rot. People all over Twitter are organizing organized crime looting. But the Weekly Standard reports the Secret Service is leaving the tweets up of people saying kill Romney. So I guess Obama supporters are above the law. Gangs plan hurricane looting spree via Twitter. It's up at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. 1990s East Coast hurricane drill named Sandy. That's an Infowars report. Texas warns globalists vote observers may be arrested. They're going to try to send UN people into the voting places. They'll try to make sure all the illegals can vote instead of going after the election fraud. The UN's a joke. So is our election system, but the UN has no part in it. Kurt Nemo's got an article on that. There's another Don Salazar article, why are police beating up disabled people? Big crazy thing where they just suddenly attack a woman in a wheelchair for no reason. It's like piranhas. It's pure predatory Prozac. Most of these cops, it turns out, are on Prozac and stuff. And it also turns out, that I bet money this nanny that stabbed the little kids, I bet you she's on a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's in the hallucinogen class. Anyway, side issue. I want to play this clip real quick and then go back to Dr. Wallach to talk about vaccine dangers, the meningitis news, the GMO dangers, just real fast in the time we have left with Dr. Wallach. But we did something fun, and it turned out really good, and we're comparing people that aren't awake to zombies because they are in a trance-like state medically. And this new issue of the magazine, now available at cost, you can get subscriptions to give us a gift, 12 of them delivered to your friends and family's door. Or you can buy them in bulk at cost at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139 to order over the phone your subscription or buy them in bulk. The Secret Life of Zombies. And it just breaks down how people are becoming zombie-like. And it's a popular subject with zombies. They like zombies. They're into kind of the archetype of what they're becoming. So this is a great way to wake somebody up. And it's a 60-page long magazine, glossy now. It's now glossy, and I'm blown away by the quality. Here's a promo Darren McBreen put together with the director of this piece, our own John Bound. And the trailer is also being posted right now if you're a radio listener and want to see it. ZombiesAttackInfowars.com. Here it is. Again, this translates a lot more powerful up at Infowars.com, where it's being posted right now. I wanted it posted this morning. It wasn't, but I've now told the great crew in their show they're going to post that right now at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com for you. We're going to break in a minute and a half. Only have 5 minutes left. We couldn't get your Skype connected, Dr. Wallach, today for 20 minutes. That's why you're on a bit late, but sorry that it didn't work on your end or our end. We're not sure. But in closing, before we go to break, real fast, your take on the meningitis news.
Of course, this is just typical of the medical pharmaceutical production areas. 30,000 people in America die each year in the hospital because doctors don't wash their hands. I'm sure the same thing was going on. This aspergillus that contaminated this vaccine or this steroid that they're injecting people for back pain is bread mold. Aspergillus is bread mold, okay? And so somebody got their sandwich in there when they shouldn't have, in their shirt pocket or something. And then basically nobody should be taking these drugs anyway. If somebody has back pain, even Harvard Medical School said don't do that. Come to the Alex Pack, throw in the glucogel with it. We can rebuild your disc. We can rebuild your debt.
Dr. Joel Wallach is our guest. We sell all of his best-selling books at InfoWarsHealth.com. And it's a win-win-win. We support the broadcast, get the word out, and the globalists do not want you getting the high-quality Youngevity products at InfoWarsHealth.com. There's also a toll-free number on the site. We'll put InfoWarsHealthUp.com in a moment, and I'll give that out. Moving quick, Dr. Wallach. I love how when Big Agra poisons food, then they want to take over the small farmers. Anything else on the meningitis news versus vaccine dangers and your quick comments on GMO? Dr. Wallach. Yeah, because I told him it was overdrive, and we were going to hold him, and he probably thought the show was over. But that's okay. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so much going on, so much happening here in this operation. Now, we are going to have Dan Badandi able to report with us. He's normally down here as one of our reporters, but instead he is up visiting with his family in Rhode Island. So we'll have news for you on that front. I hope this is all completely overhyped and that there is not a big issue. And I certainly hope that people don't try to take advantage of any of these crises that are happening to engage in any type of power grab. But we know what the White House Chief of Staff, former White House Chief of Staff, now Chicago boss, Rahm Emanuel said. We know what he had to say about all of that. Don't ever let a good crisis go to waste. And I'm telling you, folks, focus is the real human attribute. Being awake, being aware, being alive. Not being lackadaisical, not being in a dreamland like your friends and family are. Getting people out of that. It's one thing when you're lying on the couch to be in dreamland, but people are always lying on the couch now mentally, even when they're out driving their cars, when they're living. Everything is a dreamland. There's no awareness of anything that's going around. No awareness of things happening. This is the collapse of society we see that we are accelerating towards. And I got to tell you, out of the first issue and the second issue, I am blown away by this third issue of InfoWars magazine that deals with consciousness. American government forces restart of Japanese nuclear reactors. Kill, kill, kills. Another article. From food to foe. QE infinity. Printable gun revolution. TSA reinstates approval to film policy after backlash. RIP USA. Rest in peace. How the New World Order hijacked, saved the planet, and so much more. And then it's got all of the big zombie articles in it. It's got all of the big zombie. Page 10 and 11, Sheeple and the Zombie Apocalypse. Pages 12 to 13, Breaking the Zombie Programming, We Can Become Conscious. Secret Life of Zombies. Idiot Box. Those are the 4 stories on consciousness with all the government documents, all the admissions, how they're putting you into a trance state. And literally how children have just been turned over to television by all of this. I wanted to get Dr. Wallach on. We got him on like 20 minutes late because I had Ventura a little bit extra and then the Skype wouldn't work. And then we, had like 3 segments with him. I wanted to get into GMO and get his take on that. But you know what, folks? When I talk about the fact that getting off all the globalist garbage is important, or reducing it as much as you can, and at the same time, getting the proper vitamins and minerals, it is so important. So that's my plug on that front as well. Coming up, we're going to get into people promising that they're going to riot. If Obama loses, the promises to kill Romney, there's new developments there. The promises to riot and to loot during the hurricane. Who knows what's going to happen with Hurricane Sandy? I hope it's not a repeat of what we saw in Katrina, but a much larger scale. And all the news is at Infowars.com. We'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.